Good evening. I'd like to call the regular April 14th legislative session in order. I'm going to start first with some public hearings. I'll defer to the county attorney for the order and the announcement of such. Mr. Mitchell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There are 5 public hearings this evening. Please pay attention to the hearing topic so that your comments are correctly noted. First public hearing concerns a state grant for farm worker housing. Please take notice the public hearing will be held at 7 o'clock p.m. on the 14th day of April 2022 in Legislative Chambers, 4th floor, County Office Building, 46 East Bridge Street, Oswego, New York, at which time all persons desiring to express their view may be heard in the matter of the consideration of an application to New York State Office of Homes and Community Renewal for assistance through New York State CDBG program with funding made available through the CARES Act, which will assist Oswego County farms in providing safe living conditions for housing critical workforce employees, and to review and update the use of New York State CDBG funding, the Oswego County CDBG Program Income Housing Action Plan. By order of the County Legislature dated March 10, 2022, Betsy Sherman Saunders, Clerk. Any persons wishing to be heard in the matter of consideration of the Farm Worker Housing CDBG grant, please step forward and state your name.
Yes, thank you. We have Donna Scanlon. You have 5 minutes. Thank you.
Just hold it.
Hi, my name is... Just look at my day job, no karaoke. Hi, my name is Donna Scanlon. I'm with Oswego County Community Development, Tourism and Planning, and the county is looking to apply for a grant under the Farmworker Housing Grant Program that is under Community Development Block Grant from New York State. And according to the rules, we need to come out and tell you about what we're planning on applying for funding for and what these grant funds can be used for. So we can apply for up to $1 million to do grants to improve housing conditions to avoid the spread of overcrowding and substandard living conditions that may add to COVID-19 and other infectious diseases. So this includes the rehabilitation of existing housing or in-kind replacement of the existing units. So this is what the grant that we're looking to apply for, and it would be for farmers working with H-2A workers and supporting them with decent uncrowded housing. The other part in the advertisement was for our administration plan. We have an existing CDBG program that's a revolving grant, and every year we have to come out, well, every 2 years actually, we have to present it again and just make sure that we're using the money correctly. If we don't use the money correctly, we have to send it back to New York State. So we're doing the best we can there, and it's just letting you know that we're continuing that program. It's pretty much septic system repair for units that are failing and cited by the health department. It has to be income eligible, and there's other criteria. So those are the 2 grants that the public hearing is about. And we've also, just to let you know, we've talked to farmers and we have interest, so we're not just going out there blindly. We have interest and support in the activity. So that's it for me.
Thank you. Are there any others? Mr. Mitchell.
Mr. Chairman, I request you declare the public hearing closed at 7:09 p.m. There being no other persons wishing to speak.
Thank you.
Second public hearing on the agricultural district. Please take notice the public hearing will be held at 7 o'clock p.m. on the 14th day of April 2022 in the Legislative Chambers, 4th floor, Oswego County Office Building, 46 East Bridge Street, Oswego, New York. At which time all persons desiring to express their view may be heard in the matter of the consideration of requests of landowner inclusion within the existing certified agricultural district pursuant to New York State Ag and Markets Law, Section 303-B, as amended. By order of the County Legislature dated March 10, 2022, Betsy Sherman Saunders, Clerk. Any persons wishing to be heard in the matter of consideration of the Oswego County Agricultural District amendments, please step forward and state your name.
Legislator Evans.
There are none.
Thank you.
There being no persons wishing to be heard regarding this matter, Mr. Chairman, I request to declare the public hearing closed at 7:10 p.m. Number 3, notice of public hearing. Notice is hereby given that the County Legislature of the County of Oswego will meet at the Legislative Chambers, 46 East Bridge Street, Oswego, New York, at 7 o'clock p.m. on the 14th day of April, 2022, for the purpose of holding public hearing regarding proposed County of Oswego Local Law Number 1 of 2022, a local law providing for the partial tax exemption of certain real property owned by persons 65 years of age or over. In the event the capacity is exceeded, the hearing may be moved to the adjacent county courthouse on East Oneida Street. By order of the Oswego County Legislature dated March 10, 2022, Betsy Sherman Saunders, Clerk. Any persons wishing to be heard regarding proposed local law number 1 of 2022, which is a partial tax exemption for seniors 65 years of age or over, please step forward and state your name.
Thank you. Would Lawrence Mackner please take the stand? Thank you, sir. You have 5 minutes. Would also note that Mr. Mackner signed up as a 6th Ward Common Councilor.
Good evening, everybody. I speak in opposition of this proposed resolution, basically because I believe it should include all seniors over 65. Okay, I'm 68, I get the full senior star exemption, so I believe that something could be thought of to make this fair and equitable to all seniors over 65, regardless of your income. And I would hope that the legislature would table this, put 25 legislative heads together and come up with something and then bring it to the respective committee that brings us forward and rethink this so that it includes all seniors over 65. Can I ask a favor too for the legislation? Small. When we start our common council meetings, we start with a pledge of allegiance in honor of our veterans and men and women overseas and in the service. Could we start?
Thank you, sir. We do that every meeting.
Oh, okay.
It's just we're not to that point yet because of the public hearings. But
Sorry.
start of our regular meeting, we do
Sorry,
that.
I apologize. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak on proposed local law number 1, please step forward. Mr. Chair, no other persons wishing to speak regarding proposed local law number 1 of 2022, I'd request you declare the public hearing closed at 7:12 p.m. Notice of public hearing. Notice is hereby given that the County Legislature of the County of Oswego will meet at the Legislative Chambers, 46 East Bridge Street, Oswego, New York, 13126, 7 o'clock p.m. on the 14th day of April, 2022. For the purpose of holding public hearing regarding proposed County of Oswego local law number 2 of 2022, granting partial tax exemption for qualifying persons with disabilities under real property tax law section 459C. By order of the Oswego County Legislature dated March 10, 2022, Betsy Sherman Saunders, Clerk. Any persons wishing to be heard regarding proposed County of Oswego local law number 2 of 2022, please step forward and state your name.
Legislator Evans.
There are none.
There being no persons wishing to be heard regarding proposed local law number 2 of 2022, Mr. Chair, I request to declare the public hearing closed at 7:13 p.m. Notice of public hearing. Notice is hereby given that the County Legislature of the County of Oswego will meet at the Legislative Chambers, 46 East Bridge Street, Oswego, New York, at 7 o'clock p.m. on the 14th day of April, 2022, for the purpose of holding a public hearing regarding proposed County of Oswego local law number 3 of 2022, a local law authorizing the provision of mass transportation and the establishment of mass transportation facilities within the County of Oswego. By order of the County Legislature dated March 10, 2022, Betsy Sherman Saunders, Clerk. Any persons wishing to be heard regarding proposed County of Oswego local law number 3 of 2022 regarding mass transportation facilities, please step forward and state your name.
Mr. Evans.
Mr. Chairman, there are none.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, there being no persons interested in speaking regarding proposed local law number 3 of 2022, I request to declare the public hearing closed at 7:14 p.m.
Thank you. This concludes concludes our public hearings. Now we're going to call the regular 7 o'clock meeting to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Michael Yurden.
Present.
Herbert Yurden's been marked excused. Edward Gilson.
Here.
David Holmes.
Here.
Roy Rehill.
Here.
John Martino.
Here.
Frank Lombardo.
Here.
Paul House.
Here.
James Weatherup.
Here.
Mary Ellen Chesbro.
Here.
Linda Lockwood. Here. Richard Klein.
Present.
Patrick Twist.
Here.
Stephen Walpole's been marked excused. Nathan Evans.
Here.
James Scanlon, been marked excused. Lori Megano.
Here.
Robert Wilmot's been marked excused. Marie Shaw.
Here.
Tim Stahl.
Here.
Noel Samuelson.
Here.
James Carasset.
Here.
Michael Soloway.
Here.
Mark Greco.
Here.
Frank Castilia.
Wouldn't miss it.
Mr. Chairman, that's 21 present and 4 excused. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Would the clerk now also lead us now in the invocation?
As we come together on this day, let us be thankful for its blessings, its opportunities, and its challenges. Help us to be ever mindful of opportunities to render our service to fellow citizens and to our community, keeping in mind always the enduring values of life, exerting our efforts in those areas and on those things upon which future generations can build with confidence. Grant us clarity of purpose and protect us from all distractions. Amen. I would ask that everybody remain standing for a moment of silence to show our solidarity for the citizens of Ukraine and for Herb Yurden's brother-in-law, Michael Potter, who passed away unexpectedly today. Thank you.
Thank you. Now the pledge. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I trust we've seen the minutes from the Oswego County Legislature's regular meeting on March 10th and the March 16th and special meeting and also March 24th and April 1st. So moved. So moved. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. I would ask that Dave Turner, the Economic Development Planning Committee, to come forward for Scott Smith's retirement. And I would ask that the Economic Development and Planning Committee would stay up front for a proclamation for fair housing.
Everybody ready? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. And a second. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm going to kick her to Dave. I would have this kind of. You heard me say it in my classes. All right. So, County of Oswego, State of New York, Certificate of Appreciation awarded to Scott Smith in recognition of honorable public service in the employment of Oswego County, presented as an expression of appreciation for your dedicated service for the benefit of Oswego County and the welfare of its citizens. And I don't know if it gets a lot better definition of honorable public service than Scott. So I just, again, from my heart, and I know Dave will probably say something else, we really appreciate all you've done. So thank you very much.
Yeah, so Scott came to us, I think in 2009, he says it's 2008. But Scott and I like to have a couple of battles that go unresolved, so that one problem. He came at a time when we needed some caseworker assistance in our housing office. And he really has been an asset and quickly proved that he was capable of assuming a leadership role in that office. So he's retiring as the director or coordinator of housing assistance programs. And he's done a great job in mentoring his staff so that our succession will be easy. And it's nice when you feel comfortable that you have a team that you can count on. You don't have to babysit, and you know that they're making good judgments every day. And Scott provided that kind of leadership in the housing office, so makes the department head's job easy. And to all the rest of my colleagues out there, you're lucky if you have a guy like this working for you. So Scott, thanks for all the years and good luck in your retirement. And I know Michelle's ready to get you out of town like the day after you leave, right?
Pretty much, yeah. I'll be back.
It's worth noting that Scott's wife, Michelle, also is a former county employee, retired a couple of years ago. And I guess she got tired of Scott being here.
Sorry, there's no more Smith.
I can't say that we did.
No more Smith on the
Michelle did.
Thanks very much, and it's been an honor to be here. And just remember that there's more to what we do here than just roads and bridges and stuff like that. It's also the human factor. There's a lot of people out there with great need, and it's been an honor to help them. Thank you. Yeah.
So we have a proclamation as well.
I'd say.
Yeah.
Get the dog. No. Your hand.
Everybody ready? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. And a second. 1, 2, 3.
No, we're not. Oswego County Legislature, the month of April 2022, Fair Housing Month in Oswego County. Whereas with local law number 2 of 1990, the Oswego County Legislature declared support for equal housing opportunities to all residents of Oswego County. And whereas with local law number 1 of 2009, the Oswego County Legislature found and determined that amendments in local law number 2 of 1990 were both necessary and desirable for the years to conform with the Oswego County Fair Housing Law with applicable state and federal laws. And whereas the legislature appointed a fair housing officer and established the Fair Housing Council to publicize, advertise, and promote the fair housing law. And whereas the County of Oswego prohibits discrimination on the basis of race, religion, color, disability, national origin, sexual orientation, military status, age, sex, marital status, or familiar status in the sale, rental, or advertising of housing in the provision of brokerage services, or in the availability of residential real estate related transactions. Now therefore I, James Weatherup, Chairman of the Oswego County Legislature, on behalf of the entire legislature and people of Oswego County, do hereby recognize the month of April 2022 as Fair Housing Month in Oswego County, and urge all county residents to recognize and support the right of all people to equal housing opportunities. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. We do this every year, Fair Housing Month in the month of April, to commemorate the anniversary of the signing of the law. This doesn't end with me. Our staff will continue doing fair housing activities and having the Fair Housing Council. We're bringing back the kids coloring contest. You may have seen we've given entries to every legislator. Make as many copies, pass them out, and get them in. They're due back here by May 6th. There'll be judging and prize given out. And so my staff will continue this good work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I would ask that the government committee come forward along with Terry Wilbur, who's our clerk for the county, to accept the proclamation for National Donate Life Month.
Yeah, turn around. You've been out of practice, you gotta face this up.
On the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. And a second. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
This is National Donate Life Month for the Oswego County. The Oswego County residents demonstrate their commitment to succeeding another in the most difficult circumstances through organ and tissue stem cell and blood donations. During National Donate Life Month, we honor the donations to provide others with a second chance of a healthy life and encourage New Yorkers to share this precious gift. Over 120,000 Americans await donations to organ procurement, transplantation, and a network waiting list in which nearly 10,000 New York State residents are among them, many of whom are from Oswego County. Many will receive a life-saving transplant. For some, health will come first enough, whether they are copied with kidney failure, recovering from severe injuries. These individuals' lives depend on the compassion of a loved one or a complete stranger. Whereas across our state we face a shortage of donors and an urgent need for help. Only 35% of eligible New Yorkers are registered to become organ donors, while the national average is 58%. And whereas each organ or tissue donor can save many lives, and becoming one is simple. Go in New York State's donor registry and indicating your decisions on your driver's license when you register to vote, or by going online to My DMV and informing loved ones of your decision. And together we can save lives and give hope to countless American families. And thereby, James L. Weather, Chairman of the Oswego County Legislature, on behalf of the entire legislature and people of Oswego County, who hereby designate the month, April 22nd, as Donate This Life Month.
So in Oswego County, 62% of our eligible residents are registered as organ donors, which is a great accomplishment. It's much higher than we see in our state residents downstate, so we have a lot to be proud of there. This month we are, through our motor vehicles, taking on Donate Life Month, specifically April 22nd. It's going to be Donate Life Day between the county clerk's office and all the DMVs. We're really trying to encourage everybody to register. You can, with Donate Life and being a registered donor, you can help 8 lives and 75 lives with tissue and eye donations. So please consider it, think on it, and come into one of our local motor vehicles, and we'll be happy to get you registered. So thank you to the legislature. Thank you. Now could I have the Public Safety Committee and Sue Buskey come forward for National Telecommunications Week?
Picture first.
Okay, everybody ready? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. And a second. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Okay. National Public Safety Telecommunication Week. Whereas each year, public safety telecommunicators are recognized for their everyday commitment to our citizens in times of distress and emergency. And whereas the professionals that work in this field provide voice and computer support to thousands of first responders, law enforcement, emergency medical services, and fire protection services throughout the nation. And whereas, in many cases, public safety telecommunicators provide pre-arrival instructions to assist in rendering medical aid in life-threatening situations where every second counts. And whereas telecommunicators serve as a vital link between our community and emergency services, and these everyday heroes are a critical lifeline within Oswego County. Now therefore, be it resolved, I, James Weatherup, over there, Chairman of the Oswego County Legislature, and Mark Greco, Legislator District 24, on behalf of the entire legislature and the citizens of Oswego County, do hereby proclaim the week of April 10th through the 16th as National Public Safety Telecommunications Week. And presented to Sue, who's my favorite telecommunicator.
Kind of funny, somebody that gets paid to talk had nothing to say. I also asked the Human Services Committee and Marty Babcock to come forward for the Child Abuse Prevention Month.
Everybody ready? On the count of 3.
We're just here for the glam.
Let's hear for the glam. 1, 2 and a half. 1, 2, 3. And a second. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
I gotta find my books. Put it on. You know, it seems like we're running out of months to have a different month for all these different things, but today, I think this proclamation designating April 2022 as Child Abuse Prevention Month, in light of all the attention that's been focused on the department lately, this proclamation carries a great deal more added importance and gravity. So it reads like this. Whereas the community cares greatly about child safety and well-being, and child abuse and neglect is a very important concern, and whereas preventing child abuse and neglect is a community problem that depends on the involvement of people throughout the community, and whereas child abuse and neglect not only directly harms children, it also increases the likelihood of long-term physical and mental health problems, alcohol and substance abuse, continued family violence, and criminal behavior. And whereas child maltreatment often occurs when people find themselves in stressful situations without community resources and don't know how to cope. And whereas the majority of child abuse cases stem from situations that are preventable in an engaged and supportive community. And whereas child abuse and neglect can be reduced by making sure each family has the support that they need raising their children in a safe, nurturing environment. And whereas effective child abuse prevention programs succeed because of partnerships created among social service agencies, schools, faith communities, civic organizations, law enforcement agencies, and the business community. So now, therefore, on behalf of James Weatherup, Chairman of the Oswego County Legislature, and on behalf of our entire legislature and the people of Oswego County, I do hereby proclaim April 2022 as Child Abuse Prevention Month. And call upon all citizens, community agencies, faith groups, medical facilities, and businesses to increase their participation in our efforts to support families, thereby preventing child abuse and strengthening the communities in which we live. That's the end of the proclamation. The need for this proclamation is an acknowledgement that the work of preventing abuse and neglect is ongoing. It's constant, 24/7. And as the proclamation outlines, prevention is only possible with reporting from every concerned citizen from every walk of life. The saying, if you see something, say something, is very applicable here. The rate of confirmed child abuse and neglect cases in Oswego County is triple the state average. It's triple. Because of that fact, I'd like to take a moment to thank all of our Child Protective Services workers, and in fact, all of our team at DSS, because you don't get enough recognition or credit for the difficult work that you do every day. Today we recognize that work and ask the community for the support necessary to carry on your important mission.
I think even beyond our community organizations and businesses and the nonprofits that we partner with, I want to challenge every individual to get involved in a child's life. So whether it be in your extended family, in your neighborhoods, anymore people don't neighbor a lot, so children don't always have access to natural resources that we used to have when I was a kid. Get involved and try to keep them attached to community. Let them know that there's somebody out there that's watching out for them. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now call upon Legislator Frank Castilla to introduce a visitor that I should have had us lead the pledge in. Mr. Castilla.
Mr. Chairman and fellow legislators, it's a proud honor for me to introduce to you Mr. Larry Mackner, the Common Councilor for the 6th Ward in the City of Fulton. He spoke earlier. I just want to recognize him now again. Mr. Mackner.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And now Legislator Bombardo.
I'd like to introduce High School Supervisor Eric Geely.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? We've had a lot of visitors. But... All right, thank you. Moving now to public speakers on resolutions of the day. Legislator Reynolds.
Chairman, there are none.
Thank you. Moving now to reports of county officials. Reports of standing committees and reports of special committees. Thank you. In a little bit of a change up, Legislator Martino has a family issue going on at this point, so we're going to move finance and personnel to the front of the line. Legislator Martino.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I apologize for the change of order. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to give you and the citizens in the room a little bit of advance notice that we'll be bringing up a resolution later on this evening. We are entertaining a sales tax reduction on the gasoline sales tax. Just Monday, the state has enacted the necessary mechanisms that would allow us to do this. And we'll get more into this later in the meeting. Legislator Emmons, and I'm sure everybody else will be more apprised.
All right, thank you. So now resolution FP1 by Legislator Martino.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I offer this resolution and urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution pursuant to Section 206 of county law, changing legislative office building hours for June, July, and August.
This is normal, done every year, changes the hours from 9 to 5 to 8 to 4 for summer hours.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 21 in favor, 0 opposed, and 4 excused.
Thank you. Resolution FP2 by legislator Martino.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I offer this resolution and urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing the reclassification of 3 positions in the treasurer's office.
Thank you. This is reclassification as told 3. 1 position will be lowered, 2 will have minor upgrades. At the end of the reclassifications, there will be a cost savings of approximately $4,000 plus benefits.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 21 in favor, 0 opposed, and 4 excused.
Thank you. Resolution FP3 by legislator Martino.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I offer this resolution and urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution awarding professional services contract RFP 22-TR-001 actuarial services.
This actuarial services is needed for facilitation of our insurance premium needs.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Mr. Chairman, it's 21 in favor, 0 opposed, and 4 excused.
Thank you. And legislator Martino, if you need to leave, totally understood. Moving back now to Government Courts and Consumer Affairs, Resolution GC1 by legislator Holtz.
Mr. Chairman, I offer this resolution, urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing expenditure from motor vehicle, other equipment, and unappropriated fund balance for purchase of new vehicle, county clerk's office.
They're pretty much expensive. We're transferring $10,000 from A 1411 to 6,000. EMV and other equipment. And we're taking $13,000 from A 15990 for unappropriated fund balance. We're investing in the vehicle. When there's a lot of miles on it, we need to be replaced.
Thank you. Any discussion? Legislator Castillo.
Thank you very much. I did get a call from the clerk, and he asked me if I had any questions. At the time, I didn't, but I do have a question now, if I may ask the clerk to answer the questions. How often is the vehicle used during a normal week?
Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that is 19 in favor, 1 opposed, and 5 excused.
Thank you. Resolution GC2 by legislator Holtz.
Mr. Chairman, I offer this resolution, urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
A resolution adopting County of Oswego Local Law Number 1 of 2022, entitled Local Law Providing for the Partial Tax Exemption of Certain Real Property Owned by Persons 65 years of age or over.
Yes, this is where the property income level is 29,000 or lower. You start out at 50%, and then when it goes up to 37,000 or over, it goes all the way to 0% reduction.
Thank you. Any discussion? Legislator Castillo.
The last time when the public hearing was announced on this, I did bring forward an amendment to the resolution asking for an age requirement versus a monetary requirement. A lot of times you find people that are still working so that they can pay their bills. And that's why their income level is so high and they won't be able to take advantage of the discount. What I passed out to you guys broke it down in reverse order where they would start out at 5% and at age 85 they'd be at 50%. And I still think that that would be a good idea, but I did find out after the meeting, and I did explain it at the common council meeting, prior to this meeting, that that is regulated and it comes through the state. Is that correct, Rich? Is that what you told me about?
All exemptions regarding real property are set under the real property tax law, and this local law mirrors the provision in tax law, and it's the maximum exemption that we can grant at this time. If the state were to change it, we could grant a greater exemption, but this is what we can only do what the state allows us to do.
Okay, with that being said, at some point in time, I would like to have the legislative body as a whole ask to have changes made because people are working longer. They're not retiring at 65. They're retiring at 70, 75. Myself, I'm 74, I'm still working. I don't get a tax break. But I'm just asking in the future, we would take a look at it. I'm in favor of the way it is right now. I would like to have had it changed. But, let's look to the future, please.
But to the county attorney's point, that is a discussion for New York State that you should ask them. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 20 in favor, 0 opposed, and 5 excused.
Thank you. Resolution GC3 by legislator Holt.
Mr. Chairman, I offer this resolution, urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
A resolution adopting County of Oswego Local Law Number 2 of 2022, granting a partial tax exemption for qualifying persons with disabilities under Real Property Tax Law 459-C.
And this is pretty much set up by the same chart which the state has control over, with the same amount of money.
Yes. Thank you. Any discussion? Legislator Carrasco.
I just want to get this straight. So if I divorce my wife and move into the shed
We're not advocating.
behind the property, on a separate piece of property, she is over age and disabled, would that be 50 plus 50 and we don't know any property tax?
Perhaps a question for another time. Yes, that's for the assessor to determine that.
Well, I
And
know
I
who
would
that is,
note
too.
that if your wife is watching TV, you're a trouble. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 20 in favor, 0 opposed, and 5 excused.
Thank you. Moving now to Public Safety Committee, Legislator Greco with Resolution PS1.
Mr. Chairman, I offer this resolution and recommend its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing budgetary modification, Sheriff's Office, FFY 2020, National Criminal History Improvement Program.
It's a state grant for a little over $32,000 to upgrade and replace live scan machines at the Sheriff's Office.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 20 in favor, 0 opposed, and 5 excused.
Thank you. Resolution PS2 by Legislator Greco.
Mr. Chairman, I offer this resolution and recommend its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution appointing jail physician in and for the County of Oswego.
We had a resignation by Dr. Newpuff. Dr. Barnum has agreed to step forward and fill this position.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 20 in favor, 0 opposed, and 5 excused.
Thank you. Moving now to Human Services Committee, Legislator Rehill with Resolution HS1.
Mr. Chairman, I offer the following resolution and urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing budget modification, Department of Social Services to accept non-custodial parent employment program funds.
This resolution allows us to accept a federal award of $43,290 to help non-custodial parents secure or upgrade their employment so that they can begin or resume making court-ordered child support payments. There's no hardship.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 20 in favor, 0 opposed, and 5 excused.
Thank you. Resolution HS2 by Legislator Rehill.
Mr. Chairman, I offer the following resolution and urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing budget modification, Department of Social Services to accept Employment Recovery National Dislocated Worker Grant Funds.
This resolution allows us to accept a federal grant award of $29,371.44 designated to provide reemployment services to individuals who are unemployed or underemployed, primarily due to the coronavirus pandemic.
Thank you. Any discussion? Legislator Castillo.
I have a question. I was going to say that in here, there's money for on-the-job training expenses. What would that be covering on the on-the-job training expenses?
Well, on the job training, this is to help any folks who lost their jobs or had to take lower paying jobs because of the pandemic. It allows them to be to get help, assistance, getting retrained. That may be going back to school. That may be, with all the things that the employment office does for them.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 20 in favor, 0 opposed, and 5 excused.
Thank you. Resolution HS3 by Legislator Rehill.
Mr. Chairman, I offer the following resolution and urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing budget modification, Department of Social Services, to transfer funds into admin overtime.
This budget modification would move $5,000 from salaries and wages to overtime payments, and is needed to allow staff to complete the distribution of the third round of HEAP emergency heating benefits. The overtime is needed because there are currently 3 HEAP community service worker positions that are vacant, and we have not been able to fill them.
Thank you. Any discussion? Legislator Castillo.
A couple questions here, Chairman, if you bear with me. One, how are we able to take money out of the salaries and wages regular account to cover these costs?
Because we have vacancies. So rather than people are not getting paid that are not in those jobs, we have that money that we can pay the people that are in the jobs overtime. So it's budget neutral move.
Well, my point is, again, the second part of it is, why, because this is being caused more than likely because of the pandemic, why aren't we able to use any of our rescue money to pay the overtime? The reason I say that is because you're going to take money out of an account that we're going to need because we're going to look to hire people, but yet we won't have the money there because you will have taken it out to pay the overtime. I'm not against paying the overtime, I'm just against where we can take the money from. I would rather see it come from another area, such as the rescue money, we could do that. That's all I'm asking. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Legislator Carrasco.
Yeah, something that helped exasperate this is that in the past, Office of the Aging was able to contribute and help with the HEAP program, and that has been tailored back by regulations. So it falls back on our DSS department a little bit heavy.
There's also been sort of an unprecedented 3 rounds of HEAP this year. So it's gone on much longer, and the state has put a lot more money into it than they ever had before.
Understood. Thank you. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 20 in favor, 0 opposed, and 5 excused.
Thank you. Resolution HS4 by Legislator Rehill.
Mr. Chairman, I offer the following resolution and urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution updating DSS mental hygiene school-based mental health clinic project and updating Resolution 052 in 2019.
This resolution would extend our contracts for school-based mental health clinics for 2 additional years due to the disruptions in in-person school attendance caused by the COVID-19 pandemic in our schools. This is fully funded by the New York State Office of Mental Health.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 20 in favor, 0 opposed, and 5 excused.
Thank you. Resolution HS5 by Legislator Rehill.
Mr. Chairman, I offer the following resolution and urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing budget modification, Department of Social Services, Mental Hygiene Division to accept New York State OASAA state aid.
This resolution is to accept and expend $227,411 in state aid from the Office of Addiction Services and Supports, more commonly known as OASIS. There is a breakdown of the corresponding expenditures in the informational memo in the agenda packet if anybody has any questions.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 20 in favor, 0 opposed, and 5 excused.
Thank you. Resolution HS6 by legislator Rehill.
Mr. Chairman, I offer the following resolution and urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing budget modification, Department of Social Services, Mental Hygiene Division to accept New York State OPWDD state aid.
This resolution is to accept $27,488 from the New York State Office for People with Developmental Disabilities to supplement existing local services due to a hike in the minimum wage and COLA adjustments to salary and benefits. There's no local share.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 20 in favor, 0 opposed, and 5 excused.
Still holding up good?
I'm all right.
Resolution HS7 by legislator Rehill.
Mr. Chairman, I offer the following resolution and urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing budget modification, Department of Social Services, Mental Hygiene Division to accept New York State OMH state aid.
This resolution is to accept and expend $283,366 within the Mental Hygiene Division budget. Deep breath. From the New York State Office of Mental Health to support existing local programs across multiple agencies. There is no local share. There is also a breakdown of the corresponding expenditures in the informational memo in the agenda packet.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 20 in favor, 0 opposed, and 5 excused.
Thank you. Resolution HS8 by legislator Rehill.
Mr. Chairman, I offer the following resolution and urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution determining that the proposed Camp Hollis Ready project is a type 1 action that will not have a significant adverse impact on the environment for CO.25 Camp Hollis Ready project.
This is just to approve the seeker review of the Ready project that addresses the shoreline erosion at Camp Hollis.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And Mr. Chairman, that's 20 in favor, 0 opposed, and 5 excused.
Thank you. Resolution HS9 by legislator Rehill.
Mr. Chairman, I offer the following resolution and urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution determining that the proposed Independence Trail Ready project is a type 1 action and will not have a significant adverse impact on the environment for CO.34 Independence Trail Ready project.
This resolution is also to approve a seeker review of the Ready project to address shoreline erosion and trail improvements at the Independence Trail property.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 20 in favor, 0 opposed, and 5 excused.
And finally, Resolution HS10 by legislator Rehill.
And this will set a personal record for me having 10. I offer the following resolution and urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing budget modification, Youth Bureau, additional 2021 New York State aid runaway homeless youth.
This resolution is to accept and expend $13,148.80 in runaway homeless youth aid in the Oswego City and County Youth Bureau budget.
Thank you. Any discussion? Legislator Christie.
I'm looking it over, and what is the money going to be used for? Don't tell me the aid though, because I can see, I read that.
Perhaps
But
Mr. Check
somebody
could
tell me what it's
explain.
for.
The director.
So this money we contracted with the county opportunities, work with our homeless youth program, we have to do with them already. Since there are a couple of grants and such, so they.
Cover rents and stuff like that?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chetney.
Thank you, Brian. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 20 in favor, 0 opposed, and 5 excused.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Moving now to Economic Development and Planning Committee, Legislator Stahl with Resolution EP1.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I bring this resolution forward and I urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution awarding professional services contract RFP 22-CDPT-001-digital and social media advertising.
Recently put out a request for proposal to provide digital and social media advertising. Our review team, made up of our purchasing department and our tourism department, reviewed the 9 different proposals that came in, and the highest rated was to go to a Paper Kite Creative team, and that is what I'm putting forward here.
Thank you. Any discussion? Legislator Castillo.
I'm looking this over and it says key reasons for selection. It says overall Paper Kite performed above expectations at each step of the proposal process. The written proposal provided a clear overview of the strategies, deliverables, and spending plan. Now I'm looking at over on the right here where you have 5 required documentation, and they are one of the ones that did not reach all 5 categories. And then the second thing says spend-wise, at first glance, Paper Kite appeared to be one of the more expensive vendors. However, during their interview, they revealed that their pricing structure included the majority of the creative development. But then I'm looking at the total yearly price is $38,500. That's nowhere near being more expensive of the vendors. With that, all that being said, I would like to make a motion to amend this and change the award to Helen and Gertrude at $50,000 out of Rochester. Make that motion on the floor now.
Do we have a second? A second by Legislator Schott. Any discussion? Legislator Castillo.
What we tend to push a lot of times in EDP is female-based businesses. And I'm looking here at Helen and Gertrude, and I'm pretty sure that that's a female-based industry. And I would ask that we take that into consideration on this and vote in favor of changing this.
Thank you. Any other discussion on the amendment? All those in favor?
Aye.
2 in favor? Opposed?
And Mr. Chairman, that's 2 in favor, 18 opposed, and 5 excused.
Thank you. Back to the original resolution. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 1 opposed.
2.
2 opposed.
Okay, raise your hand, Frank.
Well, I was reading, sir, and I couldn't do this. Two things at the same time. I'm sorry. Please forgive me, sir.
Mr. Chairman, that's 18
I
in
still get
favor,
all for it.
18 in favor, 2 opposed, and 5 excused.
All right, thank you. Resolution EP2 by Legislator Stahl.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I bring this resolution forward and I urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
A resolution adopting County of Oswego Local Law Number 3 of 2022, a local law authorizing the provision of mass transportation and the establishment of mass transportation facilities within the County of Oswego.
So as you heard today during the public hearing, this is something that we need to do. It's administrative change. The state changed the regulations in the middle of this contract that we have had with Operating Oswego County Opportunities. This is a law that we need to pass in order to stay in compliance and ensure that we are still able to accept grant monies in the future.
Thank you. County Attorney.
I don't have the local law in my packet that should be attached to the resolution. The legislature needs that in order to adopt it. So appropriate vote at this time would be to table it. So it needs to be in final form on your desk within 5 days. So
Is it just you that doesn't
I
have it?
don't know. I don't know if everybody has the packet.
Legislator Kraft.
I want to check with Mary on this. This was brought up for transportation. Is this a time-sensitive issue that it has to be passed to move forward with?
Well, that's irrelevant. If the law is not properly adopted, you have to do it again.
Okay. Do we have
So I
that?
would put it on the next meeting and recirculate it with local law attached.
But is it a time?
I'm trying to find out.
Yes, there was a time constraint on this, that they cannot proceed with contracts, and we have to have this, yes.
But if it wasn't in the packet, you cannot adopt it.
Do we
It's
have
not
it
a-
available?
That's my point. So my recommendation would be to table and then adopt it at the next meeting.
Will that fit the time, or do we need a special meeting?
We need a special meeting.
Okay, I'm not opposed to do that.
Do we have the local law we can
What is the point that wasn't
distribute?
noticed?
This is done.
That's what-
There's another public hearing on this.
Can I ask for a moment of recess?
Second.
Thank you. Seconded by legislator Rehill. We are now back in session.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to table the resolution pending a special meeting coming up in the next 5 or 6 days.
Second. Multiple seconds. All in favor?
Mr. Chairman, I want to apologize to the county. I wasn't trying to take issue with you. I was at that meeting when they were saying that they had to have a
I'm
process.
aware of the urgency.
Yeah.
This local law is required, state law has placed a limitation on our ability to contract for mass transportation services. And we cannot contract for that without a local law in place. So I'm aware of the time constraints. It's just, if the local law is not properly adopted, we have to do it again anyway.
Right.
So what's the point? You might as well do it right first time.
No, that's fine. I just wanted, what I heard there and they said, I just wanted to make sure.
Just so you know, we're going to put this together, so the media and all the legislative people are going to try to do this just as quick as we can. It may be as soon as next Tuesday or Wednesday. Legislator Castillo.
Yes, I would ask that that special meeting be at 7 o'clock at night. I'm sorry, we've had 2 special meetings at 2 o'clock. I'm just asking, please.
Thank you. Noted. Moving now, Resolution EP3 by legislator Stahl.
Well, I'm going to make this resolution and urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing the County of Oswego to apply to New York State Homes and Community Renewal Housing Trust Fund Corporation, Office of Community Renewal for the New York State Community Development Block Grant Program, CDBG, CARES Act, to assist in providing farm worker safety housing grant program, and to update the CDBG Local Housing Program Administrative Plan to provide funding to local projects meeting CDBG requirements.
All right. There's not a law attached to my package for this one either. Are we okay on this one, or what's that?
I think we're okay.
Grant.
We're good? Okay, just making sure. Just making sure. I'll have to do it again. All right. So anyway, this resolution is for giving us the ability to apply. As you heard earlier, the public hearing, the CARES grant CDBG monies are available. This gives us an opportunity to apply for $1 million, up to $1 million. We've already committed that once we are awarded, we're going to discuss back in committee the process administratively of how this information will get out to those farmers who are interested in utilizing it or to other program income expenses. So keep an eye out for the agendas for EDP if you're curious about this.
Thank you, Chairman. Point of order. Wait, is it 2 million or 1 million? Because on our packet it's 2 million. But
Thank you. And I need to
amend
move
it,
to amend.
or what?
I need to move to amend the second whereas to change the 2 million to 1 million. When this first came out, there was additional funds available. We just found out that some of that has been spent down, and now the most that they can apply for is the 1 million. So we're going to amend to apply for the maximum, which is
I'll
1
second
million.
that.
Thank you. Seconded by legislator Rehill. Any discussion on the amendment? Legislator
No, not
Castillo.
on the amendment, no. Okay.
You just got your hand up all
I
the
understand
time.
the amendment. It's next time. When you go to the regular thing.
All right. On the amendment, any discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 20 in favor, 0 opposed, and 5 excused on the amendment.
Thank you. Back to the original. Any discussion? Legislator Grant.
And Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to note that this has the support of the Oswego County Farm Bureau, as well as Billings Orchard and Enright Orchard that just walked out, because I told them we had already done this in previous sessions, so that was my fault. But they were here to support this, and it does have the support of local farmers.
Yes, thank you. Legislator Castillo.
I'm just asking where the housing who's going to decide where the houses are going and?
Absolutely, that's a great question. If I could, so whenever we apply for these types of programs, the first step is to get the money. Once we have the money, we can start to figure out who needs it. What I will say is that our our planning office has already reached out to a number of the local farms who could utilize this program to make sure there was an interest. A lot of times when you apply for money with the state, you've got to show that it's worth giving you the money, and you do that by showing interest, so that people are interested in this. And so they've already reached out. There are folks who are interested. There will be a process put in place, some sort of application that will be publicly made available. We've talked with our tourism department and planning to make sure that information is spread out to anybody who could be interested. So there will be a competitive nature, assuming that there's more interest than money available. The process will all be made public, and we will discuss that at EDP as well.
But there will be, there are paperwork that's gone out to all people that use migrant workers. I know that there's a lot of them around, and I agree with it.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you. That's correct.
Thank you. Any other legislators?
Mr. Chairman, I just want to point out that the Farm Bureau is aware of this, and most of the farms have been notified of this program.
Thank you. Good to know. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 20 in favor, 0 opposed, and 5 excused.
Thank you. Resolution EP4 by legislator Stahl.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I bring this resolution forward and I urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution to amend the agricultural district plan boundaries by permitting additional areas of inclusion pursuant to Agricultural and Markets Law, AML, Section 303D, as amended.
This is our annual resolution we make. This is a window that is open for folks to join our agricultural districts. They do have to go through a process that closed January 31st, and these are the folks who have applied via and are going to be allowed to join. So you can see the list right there. Also, I'd like to add, I did not expect my 4 resolutions to take so much longer than Roy's 10. So.
Very good. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 20 in favor, 0 opposed, and 5 excused.
Thank you. Resolute 8, Health Committee, Legislator Krasik, Resolution 8P1.
So after following Roy and throwing a brick through the window on Tim, this one's pretty easy. Mr. Chairman, fellow legislators, I'd like to present the following resolution for your consideration.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing budgetary modification, Health Department, 2022, Article 6, State Aid Incentive Award.
So we've already accepted this money, $34,000, and now we're going to put it to work, and we're going to be using it to support the preventative, environmental, health education, and planning programs in several areas. Kind of a quick rundown for the programs like Stepping On, the public awareness campaign for ticks and Lyme disease, software and supplies for analysis that are needed to perform under Article 6 eligible tasks.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 20 in favor, 0 opposed, and 5 excused.
Thank you. Moving now to Infrastructure, Facilities, and Technology Committee, Legislator Twist, IT1.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I offer the following resolution and urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution awarding professional services contract RFP 21-BG-001, Architecture and Engineering Services, Butter Street Town Plaza.
So most of us legislators know this is a long time coming, and this is the first step into finally moving all of our government entities into one building at Butter Street. So looking forward to the process. It's going to be, that estimated cost is $202,500, and like I said, a long time coming. It's being awarded to CMS.
Thank you. Any discussion? Legislator Castillo.
This is, what we're doing is right now, this is just the engineering part of it, correct?
Correct.
Design, okay. Now, who paid for the renovation cost for Oswego Health to occupy that space? Because it's space that Oswego Health occupied, correct?
That was before my time.
Yes,
so
they did.
the Oswego Health, yeah, I know they were there, but I don't know who paid for them.
Who paid for the renovations to make it for them?
Oswego Health.
Oswego Health did?
They made some changes, we made overall structural changes, say to HVAC and putting on new roofs, things like that. But they made, I believe they made some changes, you know, putting up dividing walls and offices, things like that.
Good.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 19 in favor, 1 opposed, and 5 excused.
Thank you. Resolution IT2 by legislator Twist.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I offer the following resolution and urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution awarding professional services contract RFP 22-AR-002-Airport Consultant.
So yeah, this will also be awarded to CNS, and it's my understanding that 90% of this has the potential of being reimbursed through
FFA, correct?
There's no direct cost with this resolution.
Thank you. So we didn't hear the airport manager, there's no direct cost in this resolution. Any discussion? Legislator Scott.
I just want to make sure that there's absolutely no cost to us.
That's a discussion that I did have with the manager earlier this week, so there's no cost. We're just naming the firm.
I'm just shocked that there was only one
Apparently, we
response.
advertised
Yes,
quite
we
a
did
bit.
directly solicit a bunch of firms, and we only had one response.
We advertised it, right?
Yep. Yes, we did. Legislator Castillo.
I question only one response, and I ask that, you know, we pull this and send it back out for another round of look-see to see if somebody else will apply to it. I mean, if you're going for things, you want more than one response. I'm sorry, I would ask to pull it.
I know we advertised to a number of firms, this is the only one that responded. Any other discussion?
4, 6, 7 of them.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 19 in favor, 1 opposed, and 5 excused.
Thank you. Resolution IT3 by legislator Twist.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I offer the following resolution and urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing creation of 1 position in the Department of Solid Waste.
Yeah, so this is a position we've had a similar position in the past in solid waste, and we're creating it again. Sort of, you know, obviously we know that we have a new director and kind of starting to create a new process for them to delegate duties over at solid waste.
Thank you. Any discussion? You're beginning to think your hand is stuck that way, huh?
Sometimes it is,
Legislator Castillo.
but if somebody doesn't ask the questions, they never get answered. I was going to ask how long have we had a landfill, because prior to that, why are we creating the position? If you say, Twist says, legislator Twist says that we had this prior, why did we eliminate the position before, but now we want to bring it back?
So it's my understanding that our previous director did both positions. Am I correct in that? I believe the supervisor position existed at some point. I know it existed at some point. I don't really know the whole evolution. The person in that position, I believe one person left, another person was appointed, and then it eventually appointed by the wayside.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Legislator Crafton.
Actually, the history of that was both of those were separate entities and were underneath the highway department originally. And then they began to move it apart and created it on its own. And then they both still had a person that was in charge of each one, and then it just went all to
You are correct, sir.
overwhelming work.
Yes, sir. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 19 in favor, 1 opposed, and 5 excused.
Thank you. Resolution IT4 by legislator Twist.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I offer the following resolution and urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing the reclassification of 1 position in the Department of Solid Waste.
So there are multiple mechanics at energy recovery facility. There's one position that gets paid less than the rest of them, and this is just making it so they get paid the same. That one position has had constant turnover for many, many years, so we're trying to stop that.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 20 in favor, 0 opposed, and 5 excused.
Thank you. Resolution IT5 by legislator Twist.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I offer the following resolution and urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing budgetary modification, Department of Solid Waste, Highway and Street Equipment.
Yeah, so we're going to be purchasing an excavator, approximate cost of $200,000. The old machine has had a tragic engine failure, so obviously we need to replace it.
Thank you. Any discussion? Legislator Castillo.
I'd like to know what the solid waste unappropriated fund balance is after these transfers.
You know, solid waste is an enterprise fund, so its fund is separate from our general fund.
Right.
The treasurer hasn't given this year's balance yet, but I know at the end of last year it was over 8 million. It has a healthy fund balance because they need to save up to eventually do landfill expansions and caps, so that's why we keep a lot in there. So it's healthy, it's fine.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 20 in favor, 0 opposed, and 5 excused.
Thank you. Resolution IT6 by legislator Twist.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I offer the following resolution and urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution increasing authorization of capital project number E0122-B&G vehicles 2022.
So this will be allocating approximately $135,000 for a new skid steer. The skid steer that they are using now is, well, for lack of a better word, unsafe. You can see through the floorboards. It's about time we get a new one for them.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 20 in favor, 0 opposed, and 5 excused.
Thank you. Resolution IT7 by legislator Twist.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I offer the following resolution and urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing expenditure for capital reserve number 21, buildings renovations.
So all this is just moving the money for the previous resolution that we already passed.
Thank you. Any discussion? Legislator Castillo.
So from my quick math here, that $450,000 we're going to have to pay for the renovations after Oswego Health left, correct? 200 before, then 200 now. Or are they both the same?
I believe one is moving the money,
Yeah,
and the other one is the resolution.
right. The first one he did authorize the contract for the architect engineer. This one moves the money to pay for the architect.
The same thing we do for pretty much other.
Pretty much standard.
Okay, all right, okay.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 20 in favor, 0 opposed, and 5 excused.
Thank you. Resolution IT8 by legislator Twist.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I offer the following resolution and urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution setting a public hearing regarding proposed local law number 4 of 2022, a local law amending local law number 4 of 2015, a local law permitting and regulating all-terrain vehicle, ATV, operation on certain county roads.
Yeah, this tends to be a yearly thing. We are a county that supports our snowmobile clubs and our ATV clubs, and we want to make sure that they can get from trail to trail and take to county road. We want to allow that. So.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 20 in favor, 0 opposed, and 5 excused.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, I would note that that local law combines and supersedes various other local laws so that all the ATV segments are in one place. There were several of them over the years.
Thank you. Legislator Remmers.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that conveys the legislature for consideration of DC4 and SP4 only, and for them to come off the floor without committee consideration.
Thank you. We have a second.
Second.
Do we have any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Resolution GC4 by legislator Holt.
Mr. Chairman, I offer this resolution for its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing creation of one temporary position in the clerk of the legislature department.
Yes, this is where we're going to have a part-time position because somebody is going to be out for 12 weeks. I believe. And, that's what it is.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 21 in favor, 0 opposed, and 4 excused.
Thank you. Resolution FT4 by legislator Evans.
Chairman, I have the following resolution in urgent adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution of the Legislature of the County of Oswego electing a cents per gallon rate of sales and compensating use taxes on motor fuel and diesel motor fuel in lieu of the percentage rate of such taxes pursuant to the authority of Article 29 of the tax law of the state of New York.
Thanks.
Mr. Chairman, the state budget that was recently enacted, the state moved on reducing the gas tax and also allowed language that was solidified this past Monday to allow for counties to follow suit. The resolution that you see before you was actually provided to us directly from the state and hot off the presses at about 5 o'clock this afternoon. So this is why this is coming up before today, is that we finally got the language and we wanted to move this as quickly as possible. Certainly it's a reflection of kind of where we are at as a country in terms of very high fuel tax and fuel prices, and we are looking to move this to provide some relief back to our county citizens.
Thank you. Any discussion? Legislator Kress.
Yeah, I guess the only regret that we've got as a legislative body is that our big brother county south of us beat us to this.
Well, they got us yesterday.
Yeah, but I think this is a great motion that at least indicates that we're aware of the problems. We're very much aware of what inflation is doing. We're trying to look out for what little bit that we can. It's not going to change anyone's life, but it does begin a conversation of going forward of trying to watch out for the people in this county and making their dollars stretch a little bit further. So I encourage everyone to support this.
Thank you. Legislator Scott.
Yes, I totally support this, but my question is, and you may not be able to answer it, why are fuel prices so much higher in Oswego than in surrounding areas? I've noted it for years, and very much so now.
I've talked to a number of retailers. We have some people involved in that industry in this room, but it's market driven. We have had discussions with leadership about to make sure that we're going to the extent possible, monitor for price gouging and things of that nature, but it's not our position to determine the final price to the consumer. Legislator Klein.
Yes, I can answer that question because after I retired from UPS, I bought a mobile franchise and I ran that for 7 years until I got my daughter to take it over, thank God. But fuel is sold by zones, and my station particularly was in Queensbury, New York, which is outside of Lake George. And the zone there, up the road, up to Lake George, was a different zone altogether. You pay different prices for it. Right here locally, Jones Road, the closer you are to that terminal and that pipeline, the less you're going to pay because there's a lesser charge for delivering, et cetera, et cetera. Utica area feeds off the Buckeye pipeline. They're in a completely different zone down there, and of course the farther away you go from that source, the much more expensive it is. So that's what it is. We're like kind of in a quandary because we're not close to really a big source. We're just not. We're going to pay more. So it's that. The retailers, believe me, I sold gas. And I sold over 1.5 million gallons, which is, I was considered in the middle of the pack in that area. You don't make money 2 cents a gallon.
No.
You don't. Now, high test you make more, but not many people burn high test. So, I mean, it just is what it is. The stations doesn't matter what franchise you are, you're not getting wealthy on gas. You're getting the people in there. So then they can buy their Coke and you can make 50 cents on it, or your donut and you're making 75 cents on it. That's where you make your money. These guys are not getting rich. Trust me, they're not, guys and gals.
Okay, any other discussion? Legislator Castillo.
I read it over briefly, and I see the time limit, okay, from June to December, which is good because it's during the summer months when people are going to be traveling, and you've got Christmas and you got Thanksgiving in there. But I don't see what the amount is. What is the amount that we're going to reduce it by? I don't see that in there. Did I miss it?
The resolution came from the state.
Right, that's 16 cents, but they're reducing it.
It's capped at $4. Yeah, same as Onondaga County. We want to be symmetrical with them, so there's not as much confusion between consumers and commuters.
So if all the reduction in the taxes, you take it down below $4, then the 16 cents that the state says that they're going to do, then that takes it down some places just a little bit over $4.
Well, I think in the final analysis, it's going to depend on what the actual retail price is. But I understand your concern. We're just doing what we can to help here.
But then my concern is a little bit more because I believe, I don't know the year, but we set a cap at $2.50, I believe, not too long ago for our taxes. Isn't that correct, Rich? Phil, you may have remembered when they put it. It was during Russ Johnson's term in office that it was reduced. It was put a cap on it then, and I would rather see a cap of $2.50 than a cap of $4.
I don't know. I'd have to look at sales tax enactments back then. And it may have been temporary at the time if it did occur.
It was only temporary.
Right.
Yeah,
But I'm saying that I would rather see it at $2.50 than at $4.
So I have to look that up.
But again, the state says this is the resolution if you want to do it. You don't want to do it, Frank?
No, see, now you're trying to put words in my mouth,
No.
Mr. Chairman. I'm saying that I would rather see it at $2.50. We did it once before. Why were we able to do it before, but we can't do it now? Somebody answer that question.
I'd rather see it less than that. Why? This is the resolution that the state says we can use. That's it, this one.
But the,
I read it. It doesn't say an amount in there. It says a cent amount.
you can do it at $2, $3, or $4, and
There you go.
I did it at $4.
Right.
So that's why $4
Mirroring
are in the
$4.
resolution.
You still haven't answered me, how could we do it once, but we can't do it now? I don't think it went through the state, it may have gone through the state the last time, but I'm just asking, why could we do it when Russ Johnson was sitting in your position, Mr. Chairman, but we can't do it now?
I was not here when Mr. Johnson was here. The resolution in front
Mr.
of
Church
us.
was, and so was it the county attorney.
Well, the ability to levy sales tax is resident with the sovereign, which is the state. So we can only impose those taxes that the state allows us to impose. This came by virtue of the budget, I believe, and it's only been in emails for a couple of days. They gave localities that have imposed a tax the option to do this at $2, $3, or $4 if they wanted to. And when the model resolution came through, I was told to put $4 in it because that's what Onondaga has. It doesn't say anything about $2.50.
So, you put in what Onondaga County put in. So we could have put in $3 or $2, correct? Yes or no?
The county can opt for $2, $3, or $4. That is correct.
We could have put $2, $3, or $4. Why didn't we go $2 then?
Because we decided to go with what Onondaga County did. Is there any other discussion?
We elected, we chose to. You guys did, I don't.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 20 in favor, 0 opposed, and 5 excused.
Thank you. Any unfinished business? Legislator Castillo.
Mr. Chairman and fellow legislators, with all that has transpired in the past month since our last full regular legislative meeting, I feel it is time for this legislative body to ask for the resignation of DSS Commissioner Elbord, effective immediately, and I ask for a roll call vote.
Do we have a second? Legislator Scott. Any discussion?
Hold on.
Point of order?
Do we have a second?
Go ahead, a second.
Can't bring a resolution up for.
I'm not bringing a resolution up, I'm bringing up, I can make a,
Well, then,
I can
order
do that if I
bring
want
the
to.
resolution forward. It's not on the agenda right now.
It's not on the agenda. Point of order.
Any
No,
other unfinished business?
no. I can bring to the floor and ask to have action taken by the legislative body. It's not a resolution.
I would defer to the county attorney.
Mr. Mitchell?
This is under
I
unfinished.
made a motion, Rich. I got a second. We vote on it or we don't vote on it. That's all you have to rule on.
That's a ruling for the chair, not me, but there's a motion that has been seconded, so we probably should vote on it.
Thank you.
Okay. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman?
Legislator Reed, or Legislator Greco first.
I would say I think this is premature and unnecessary at this time. I think everybody is entitled to a full investigation and everything before we take rash action like calling for someone's resignation.
Thank you. Legislator Emmons?
I would agree with Legislator Greco. I think this body has acted swiftly in terms of putting forth not one, but two investigations into DSS. I believe this action would also be premature. I think it is the wise course to let those investigations play themselves out and for the facts to lead us where they may. Without those facts in front of us, I think this action is definitely unwarranted and, as I said before, premature.
Thank you. Legislator Freehill?
Are we certain that this is within the rules? I thought we waived the rules just to do two final resolutions.
Well, that is correct.
The request that was seconded was to request for resignation. It wasn't in form of a resolution.
Well, it's scapegoating the commissioner who's dedicated, deeply dedicated to the mission of child welfare is a huge mistake. It's almost ridiculous on its face. It's a scapegoating. It's basically sort of a mob mentality to attack the department right now. There's 300 people or more over there doing incredible work, terribly hard work every day, trying to decapitate the department right now would just be a huge mistake. And I think we need to stand in support of a department that is consistently doing the best that they can. We're looking into the circumstances that surround this recent tragedy, but this is a mistake and should have never been brought to the floor.
Thank you. And I would add the premise that in this country, we still go with innocent until proven guilty. Legislator Craig.
My major concern with this is that the criminal investigation of the parents isn't completed. They went in front of the grand jury said indict. We hired a firm to start an investigation on policies and procedures at DSS. We hired an attorney, but then we told this attorney, we do not want you to start your investigation while the court system is still doing what they've got to do. In this country, the law takes precedent, and the law says they're going to prosecute these parents. We need to let that process go through before we start throwing things around that just create a lot of attention with no end result that this county is going to be proud of. If in fact, at a time down the road, there is facts that support Legislator Castilia's motion, I don't have an issue with that. This is not the time to do this. You do not step into a criminal investigation where the trial hasn't even been held and start throwing darts at the wall hoping that you even hit the dartboard, let alone the bullseye. I strongly oppose this.
Thank you. Legislator Castillo. Oh wait, my fault. Legislator Sims.
Hi there. I would like to recommend before the roll call vote that maybe Mr. Legislator Castillo could explain in his thoughts why she should be fired specifically.
I'm going to get to that.
Okay, great.
Call them.
Because I'd like to hear that.
You didn't think you'd go over, did you?
You didn't think I was just gonna say that?
Well, I hope not.
Legislator Castillo.
Fellow legislators and chairman, 10 years ago, Greg Hafner, commissioner of DSS at that time, said many improvements were made after Aaron Maxwell to ensure another case like that never happens again. Well, here we are, and it happened. We did a study in 2008-2009 performed by Cornell. It called out many shortcomings, and we instituted all but the most important one. This legislative body failed, but only the people can fire us. In the 2020 budget, we had a chance to help, and we failed. It's time to step up to the plate and do the right thing now. The buck stops at the top. You have to be held accountable for what you know or you don't know. We are government by the people and for the people, and the children are part of those people. Serve and protect. We serve the people, and we are held accountable to protect. We need to protect now. We have a chance right now to stand up for the vulnerable, and we do the right thing. As far as the criminal case, that has nothing to do with it. We're not talking about the parents here. They're the ones that are on trial, not DSS. I'm sorry. That's how I feel.
Legislator Evans.
Mr. Chairman, my apologies to legislator Sampson for not getting the answer that she asked for. Because there was zero explanation that was just provided that suggested that outline any support or anything related to the resignation of our DSS commissioner. I mean, I think it goes without saying that the minority leader has been, one to grab the headlines over the past couple of weeks.
Point of order. Point of order. Come on, Commissioner. He's offline. You know it.
Legislator Castillo, I allow it from you.
No.
Continue, Mr. Evans.
No. Oh, all right. Okay.
If you're not going to come to this legislative body and have respect for this legislative body in terms of bringing actual facts, actual data, actual evidence that supports your case, this is another failure by the minority leader to present anything by hyperbole and theatrics in front of this legislature. In fact, he should be ashamed for bringing this forward today. Amongst two active investigations, amongst a criminal investigation, that he would throw this in front of the public and throw this in front of the legislature without any thought. He has evidence by his own very statements and the statement that he read, he prepared, or lack thereof. Mr. Chairman, I think it's time to get this vote over with and move on from this preposterous action and carry on with the people's business.
Call for the question.
Calling the question. Thank you.
Vote on call the question.
All in favor of calling the question?
Aye.
Opposed? Question is called. All in favor of legislator?
Roll call vote I asked for, sir.
Okay, let's go roll call then. Roll call vote, please.
Michael Yerden.
No.
Herbert Yerden is marked excused. Edward Gilson.
No.
David Holmes.
No.
Roy Rehill.
Emphatically no.
Jay Martino's been marked excused. Frank Lombardo.
No.
Paul House.
Absolutely no.
James Weatherup.
Innocent until proven guilty? No.
Mary Ellen Chesbro.
No.
Linda Lockwood.
No.
Richard Klein.
Positively not.
Patrick Twist.
No.
Stephen Walpole's been marked excused. Nathan Emmons.
Stop the theatrics. No.
James Scanlon has been marked excused. Larry Vingano.
Absolutely no.
Robert Wilmot's been marked excused. Marie Shad.
Absolutely yes.
Tim Stahl.
No.
Noel Samuelson.
No.
James Karasik.
No.
Michael Soloway.
No.
Mark Greco.
No.
Frank Castilla.
Absolutely and positively, yes.
Mr. Chairman, that's 2 in favor, 18 opposed, and 5 excused.
Thank you. Any miscellaneous business? I'm looking for the appropriate motion. Thank you. this time, we're open for public comment periods for those who have signed up. Once I call your name, you come forward, you have 5 minutes to speak. First, we're Shauna of Reading. Thank you. In the interest of fairness, we do limit your time to 5 minutes.
Okay.
Thank you. Go ahead.
I'm not here to trash caseworkers, I'm addressing concerns. Knowing there are a few good ones left, I'm extremely concerned for those who don't do their job fully and have ulterior motives. It's been out there that there will be 2 investigations, one for DSS to review current practices and making suggestions for improvement. James Weatherup said, "We need true and complete answers in order to take responsible actions." I have those answers for you. Some of DS's caseworkers tend to be self-righteous, unwilling to admit to mistakes, lacking in ethics, naive about children, likely to conduct one-sided investigations, coming to the home biased, having preconceived notions, and blind to contradictory input. Not all CPS workers, but some appear determined to find evidence of wrongdoing in order to make themselves look good. If they don't find anything, at times they'll make it up. DSS complains a lot about increased caseloads. It allows them to beg for more funds, more staff, and gives them greater authority over families. You all know that's what we've been hearing. Since lack of foster care is a case, why are they removing children unnecessarily when they know of no safety concerns but to decide to add false charges to the report? Please don't get me wrong, some children truly need to be removed to be safe and protected. DSS is getting investigated. Well, they've been investigated in all their caseloads to make sure they obeyed the laws, their own protocols, and kept integrity in their cases. Will you make sure caseworkers are completely honest in their work? Because that is a kind of investigation that needs done. One time I believed in the system, sincerely believed they were here to help children and families. I was dead wrong. They failed our children and family repeatedly. I've asked for help at least 3 times. It was desperately needed. I knew our children needed help. Our kids were abused and no one took action. They believed it wasn't happening or going to. They would not speak to the children. Second time, disbelieved a victim, a child with special needs, refusing to help, but this time threatened us with removal. No caseworker wanted to acknowledge abuse. No one wanted to protect or help them. Our older kids needed to heal from their own trauma and trauma they caused. Our youngest boys, aged 2.5 and 6, their mental and physical safety was at stake. Open adoption is the hardest thing that we ever had to do. CPS was not involved with that. Our boys needed to be kept safe and would be with us if CPS did not ignore abuse. They were our sunshine on a rainy day. They were very loved by us and others. Someone came forward with a confession. Caseworker entered our home. Instead of helping, we got blindsided. Abuse was now out again. It was obvious they wanted to hide their mistakes. They chose to punish us instead of doing the right thing. No amount of evidence, honest witnesses, mandated reporters could prepare us for their own agendas. Retaliation had been their tactic this whole time, which also included court-appointed attorneys, doctors, and even Catholic charities. I could prove they illegally and wrongfully removed our children. They were willing to go on with it, perjury and all. The Child Advocacy Center and I addressed concerns to our caseworker about the foster parents. Repeatedly, they psychologically and physically abused our children. The 3rd time, abuse was ignored. Foster dad left bruises on our son. Instead of being calm, a caseworker yelled at me for calling it in. And without knowing anything about our case, said I deserved to have my kids removed. Our supervisor for that visit and after still had concerns. Later to find out a caseworker falsified and changed a report. The caseworker or agency should be charged with falsifying report and abuse. Here's why. Abusive fosters asked for our kids to be removed. They were. The trauma trigger happened and our son had to leave. CPS put him right back into the abusive home until he snapped. The agency contributed to abuse by sending him back to his abuser. Our kids shared with the CAC counselor what happened, and to this day, they're still fostering or have the ability to, putting more kids at risk. We did our share of the work, went above and beyond what was required because of the love that we had for our kids. We all know things need to change. You have the responsibility in helping with that. No one will change unless they want to. Hearts need to soften and change is made. We need more CPS workers who are honest, with integrity, who are willing to do the work and for the right reasons. The agency needs to figure out a better way to hire those of that nature. The agency needs a very thorough investigation of whether they kept the laws, their protocols, and knowing if and when a report was falsified. A sheriff from Florida said, "Unfortunately, we have people who are human beings and they fall. We can't fall when it comes to children, and we can't fall when it comes to the community. We can make honest mistakes, but you can't do things purposely that can put people in harm's way." Theodore Roosevelt said, "No man is above the law and no man is below it." My hope is that as all of us are speaking, you will see things differently and correct what wrongs have been done. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Moving now to Colleen Scott.
Hello.
Thank you. You have 5 minutes.
I know. I know the drill from a long time ago.
Just reminding everybody, just to be fair.
Okay. I really struggled writing this. My mind kept going back to 2008 and Aaron Maxwell. I understand one of you said that, what's the point in the public speaking? Well, it's to tell you our opinion. So I'm speaking to give you my thoughts. I'm going to tell you that I'm a retired LPN. My specialty was pediatrics. My heart is broken. Can you imagine what Jordan felt as he lay dying? The cubitus ulcers, yes, that's the proper name for a bed sore on his back. His hip replacement hardware sticking through his skin, and hungry, so hungry, wet diapers clinging to his skin. If I ever were to care for one of my peds patients, like Jordan was, I would have been fired and reported to the State Board of Nursing. I would have been held responsible for the care I delivered. I think that the caseworker who closed his last case should be named and reported to the state. Why would any of you feel that this could happen and no one would be held responsible? I know his mother and stepfather were arrested and their charges, but the caseworker has responsibility too. She or he could have saved Jordan's life if it wasn't for their negligence. You don't need a medical education to smell urine or to see the sores on Jordan's back. Why was the school staff ignored? Just like Aaron Maxwell. I'm not interested in anyone's apologies. We have more dead children, and DSS is again saying we need more money. Would that have saved Aaron, Galaxy, and Jordan money? DSS, do your job and find a new commissioner again.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now, if Stephanie Stone wishes to speak. Thank you. 5 minutes, please.
Sure. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for this opportunity to speak to everyone here. I'm here today to voice my concerns about the Department of Social Services, especially CPS. I've been involved with them for about a year, and I have kept quiet about what I have witnessed in fear of them retaliating against me. As my case was closing, I heard about Jordan Brooks, and shortly after that, I found out about Galaxy Cruise. There is no doubt that DSS has failed them, and it sickens me that the commissioner is placing blame on caregivers, friends, and family. She's also quoted as saying that DSS has laser focus on safety and risk. Well, where was this focus when it came to these children? We heard about the proposed changes to the CPS to stop this from happening in the future. More money, more staffing. But the problems in CPS go beyond staffing and money. CPS conducts themselves in a way that they believe they are above the law. They have broken laws, fabricated statements, and have downright lied. These unspeakable actions of CPS
pull children from their parents and ruin the lives of many families. Can you tell me how money and staffing is going to correct the corruption within this department? Is it acceptable for them to conduct themselves in this manner because of their low wages and high caseloads? I think not. The investigation that's underway, I feel, is a joke and a waste of money. They'll be identifying trends, strengths, weaknesses, identifying areas of improvement. I believe the state just conducted that type of review, and their findings, even though not all of the report was public, came back with, they do a good job of gathering information and they don't document it that well. I feel this is a waste of money. What needs to be done is that investigations into the complaints about CPS by people like myself need to be looked into. They need to be uncovered for who they truly are. These investigations, sorry about that. This investigation is insulting to me and everyone else who has ever made complaints about CPS, because all we've had was doors closed and no one listened. I have a feeling that this investigation is going to go on for a year, if not longer, just like the investigations up in St. Lawrence County, in hopes that we all just go away. I'm here to tell you I'm not going to go away. I will not forgive CPS for what they have done to me and my family. I will not go away until someone reviews my case and proves to me that CPS has done no wrong. Over this past year, it's been very clear to me that CPS is not there to strengthen families, assure safety, promote self-sufficiency, and improve the quality of life in our community, as their mission statement states. They are here to make money by pulling families apart and will do anything to accomplish this, including breaking the law. I'll leave you with this thought. Imagine yourself sitting in court. You're listening to testimony from the CPS and the lies that are coming from their mouth. This is an agency who is there to protect children. It's uncovered that their allegations have no substance because they have no proof. And when you have evidence to contradict them, to call out their lies, when it's presented, it's dismissed. There is no jury to find you guilty and no jury to find you innocent. You are charged based upon the lies from this corrupt agency because you have no voice, you have no rights against them. They are the law, they are untouchable. Change needs to be done today. The wrongs they have caused in these families need to be righted. I thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you. Is there any other people wishing to, for public comment? Thank you very much.